Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for another Hall of Fame class at Lower Columbia College, the 2026 class. And boy, do we have four outstanding individuals and one great team that captivated everybody by winning the 1991 NWAC Volleyball Championships. Well, we are going to honor the likes of Sheldon Andrews, the fireballing pitcher for the 1979 and 1980 LCC Red Devil baseball team. We'll talk with Alice Fox Dietz, who is an outstanding two-year player here at LCC and went on to stardom at Evergreen State. It also became a family affair for Alice and her time here at Lower Columbia College. We'll also talk about Mike Anderson. In fact, we'll meet Mike a little later in the show. Although there is no longer track and field at Lower Columbia, there used to be, and Mike Anderson was one of the all-time greats, an incredible long-distance runner who really came up with some incredible feats during his time here at LCC. And also, I'll be able to reminisce a little bit about Terry Gregg, who was a great basketball player at Lower Columbia and then went on to become a high school coaching legend in the state of Washington and Oregon. We look forward to meeting our latest class of the 2026 LCC Hall of Fame.
Hello, I'm Dr. Kristen Fennell, the interim president at Lower Columbia College. You only have to look around our athletic facilities, walk past the trophy cases, or see the championship banners lining our gym to feel the incredible legacy of talent and hard work built by our student athletes and coaches over the years. I want to recognize the outstanding LCC head coaches. This dedicated team of coaches is committed to helping every student athlete reach their full potential. They are models of persistence and determination, fostering the excellence that defines our athletic program season after season. Our 2025-26 head coaches are Stephen Evans, women's soccer; Troy Shorey, women's volleyball; Mickey Polis, men's basketball; Lucas Myers, women's basketball; Kurt Lipinski, baseball; and Tracy Fuller, women's softball. I also want to extend a sincere thank you to our greater LCC community. Your support is the catalyst behind our athletic programs and the success of our student athletes. Without you, we simply could not maintain the high standards of excellence we've come to expect at LCC. Thank you for your continued partnership.
Hello, I'm Sheila Tim, LCC Foundation Director of Development and Major Gifts. Many of you have played a vital role in the shaping and sustaining of LCC's tradition of athletic excellence, whether competing on the court as athletes or cheering from the stands as dedicated boosters and community members. We thank you for your impact on our history, a legacy that serves as a very foundation for our future. The LCC Foundation remains committed to supporting and sustaining successful competitive programs through the Athletic Excellence Fund. This fund is a critical resource, providing necessary funding for LCC athletics where public funds alone do not cover. Athletics are more than just a game. They are a bridge to student success and completion. All proceeds from the 2026 Hall of Fame inductee celebration directly support the LCC Athletic Excellence Fund. And we hope that the remarkable stories of our newest Hall of Fame inductees inspire you to invest in the next generation of Red Devils to help protect the future of LCC athletics. To make your tax-deductible donation, please visit lccreddevils.com. And thank you for being a vital part of LCC's legacy of athletic excellence. Go Red Devils.
Well, we start our Hall of Fame interviews and we're talking about Terry Gregg. Now, we were not able to hook up with Terry, but we're looking forward to meeting him at our Hall of Fame induction party on Wednesday. And it's going to be a great event at the LCC basketball games. Terry Gregg played for Lower Columbia back in 1961 and 62. and 62 and 63. Terry was an outstanding multi-sport athlete at R.A. Long High School. He decided to stay in town, and he showed up at LCC and was a hit right away. A high-scoring guard. He had some huge games for LCC, scoring over 30 points a game. Just a great athlete. He was known around town as not only great in basketball, but many other sports as well. But basketball was in his blood for sure, and he was an all NWAC player here at Lower Columbia College. He then went on to play at Central Washington University, then Central Washington State College. And then after that, he got into high school basketball coaching. He took over the job at Sheldon High School, and it didn't take long before Sheldon won the state championship. It was in 1976. He led the high climbers all the way to the state title. And as for his coaching career at Sheldon, it was pretty unbelievable. He had an overall record of 681 and 217 in his years at Sheldon, and then later at North Medford High School down in Southern Oregon down there. At Sheldon, Sheldon teams won 8 league titles, and in 12 years at North Medford, he was a legendary coach down there as well. He retired back in 1998. He's already in the R.A. Long Hall of Fame, was inducted back in 2014, and it's only fitting that because of his great time here at Lower Columbia and his outstanding coaching career that Terry Gregg goes into the LCC Hall of Fame class of 2026. Well, our Red Devil Hall of Fame special continues now, and we've got the man, Sheldon Andrews, part of the 2026 class. And Sheldon, great to have you with us here today. Sheldon is at an airport in Florida doing business right here. And boy, we sure appreciate you taking the time to talk with us a little bit about your time at Lower Columbia College. First of all, when you got the news that you're going into the Hall of Fame, what was your first thoughts about that?
I really didn't believe it. It was like, hey man, this is cool. Brought back a lot of memories. Had some great times back in the day, and up raising my kids, and got to coach a lot of people, got to play with a lot of people, got to make a lot of good friends. I just thought it was pretty cool. I'm pretty jacked about it, actually.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. Well, baseball's like that. It's a sport where you spend a lot of time with your coaches and your teammates, and that's what makes the game great. It's an everyday affair, and I guess at the junior college level, it's a brotherhood. Talk a little bit about your time at Lower Columbia, and of course, playing for with great teammates and coaches and all that.
Yeah, Scott Carnahan. Love the guy. He went on to coach at Linfield, and he was coaching at Linfield when my son Logan was playing at PLU. So I got to re-up with him. And every once in a while, I'll hear from a guy here and a guy there. Or I'll see something like, Don Fenton. I played with him a little bit, and I haven't seen him for years. Russ Riepelli's another one. Spencer Hall. A lot of good guys. A lot of good memories.
For sure. Yeah, Carney. What a beauty. That guy, baseball lifer, and he left his mark here at Lower Columbia. I know him and his father, with some help, built the current grandstands that'll soon be coming down here in a year or so.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Did you guys
that's pretty cool.
Have to be part of those construction crews back in the day?
No, we got in on some field maintenance. So now here's the darn terminal again.
That's okay. That's all right. We'll play through that. If I hear it's a flight that I'm supposed to be on, well, then I'll be concerned. So, yeah. So, Sheldon, you're from Rainier, just right across the bridge, and you started to stay home. I guess that was an easy decision just because of the strength of the program, right?
Yes. Well, I was kind of a rough around the edges individual when I was that age, and I got out of high school and I went to Linfield, and I dropped out of Linfield, and I actually went in the Navy for 2 months. And I got a medical discharge from a wrist injury from football in high school. And when I came back, I go, what am I going to do? So I went over there and talked to Carney, shaved head and all. And he kind of thought I was a basket kid. He didn't know what he was getting, because I go, sure, come on over here. And then the rest is kind of history.
Well, all it would take would be one bullpen, because you had a live arm, man. And the thing about it is, you were part of the days when guys could get drafted multiple times. They had secondary phases. And how many times were you a professional draftee before you finally did sign?
4.
4 times.
Yeah. 4.
Yeah.
I got drafted, I think, if I can even remember. I think I originally went 6th round to the Pirates. And then I think I went 3rd round to the Mets. And then I went, I think, 3rd round to the Pirates again. And then the Yankees eventually 2nd round. So, and that was based off of a 1-inning scouting, seeing me throwing against Tacoma for 1 inning. And the whole draft was based off of that.
Yeah. Well, obviously your talent was pretty obvious, and then the long grind in the minor leagues. And, boy, I know that you've mentored a lot of kids over the years, coaching, in Rainier, and what would you say to these kids? I know the draft's completely different now. It's, we're talking about $1 million draft slots and stuff.
Don't I know? I wish I'd have been playing today.
Right. And back then you were lucky to get a bus ticket and, maybe, enough money for a beer. But, what would you say as far as to these young kids about college and about the professional ranks and all that?
Well, follow your dreams, but be prepared if they happen to fail. You never know when you're going to get hurt. That's what basically ended my career, was a rotor cuff tear. And, you just never know when it's going to happen. As soon as I came back, I got a job. My wife, Charlene, was pregnant with our oldest, Tara, and I got a really good job, and I couldn't quit that for a what if. But, 3 months after I got home, I was throwing mid to upper 90s again. So, who knows what could have happened? And I was throwing into 90s, clear into my 40s.
Is that right?
Yeah, Portland Adult League at 42. There was a bird dog scout for the Giants that asked me how old I was, because he had a spot for me, and I told him 42, and he just rolled his eyes and left.
They already made a movie about that. They go,
oh yeah. I can't
have another one.
Yep, that was a good one.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, in the 79 championship tournament, I know that you had 3 victories in that tournament. That was crazy, man. They were running you out there, and back in those days, you love it, right?
Yeah, I did. But I tell you what, I can still remember how bad my arm hurt, because I missed the majority of the season with mononucleosis. And I came in and I only got to throw a couple times before the tournament, but my arm was dragging. But I just kept going out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty cool. And then, the very next year in 1980, we were saying we're going to win it all. I guarantee you we'd have won it all. And then the mountain blows and they canceled the tournament. And hindsight, I think it cost me quite a bit of money, but oh well, things happen.
Yeah, crazy things happen. That sophomore year, you had an ERA of 2.39. You were all NWAC. We were going to host the tournament. Carney finally got the tournament in Longview, and next thing you know, boom, Mount St. Helens. And
I was gonna throw the first game against Fort Stellicum. I can remember that, and they weren't a real strong team, so I was looking forward to that start, and all of a sudden, guess what, boys? We're not playing.
Yeah, that is wild, for sure. Well, I know that just tell me a little bit about your time and how important it was as we put you into the Hall of Fame. Very deserved. You talk to anybody, and they always say, "Oh man, Sheldon Andrews, what an arm! Guy's a beauty." A lot of pleasant memories, and just overall, your 2 years at Lower Columbia, what do they mean to you?
Oh, I'm proud to be a Red Devil. Some of my favorite baseball memories were when I was playing in college. I had a lot of good memories in pro ball, but the game changed when you're getting paid for it, and how much you made was based on how well you performed. So a lot of the fun kind of left for me, but I still got to meet a lot of good people. Probably one of the highlights, the thing I think back at is my high school coach, Pete Domit, moved and was coaching at Big Bend my sophomore year. And I had the opportunity to just stuff them 2 times. If I remember right, I think I struck out 18 both games. Oh. But yeah, it was something. I think he even said, "I'd love to have a bat." And I said, "The rack's right over there."
That's right. Pete Domit, the Red Devil, and of course went on to coach elsewhere. I'd never heard that story. I love it. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, that's great. Well, Sheldon, I know you've got to catch a plane, and we appreciate you taking the time, and we look forward to seeing you at our Hall of Fame next week. And it is my distinct pleasure to officially announce that you are the latest inductee into the Lower Columbia College Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Perfect. Thank you very much, sir.
Well, welcome back to our LCC Hall of Fame show as the class of 2026 is being inducted, and we've got a special guest with us, a great track and field legend from around Lower Columbia College, and that's Mike Anderson with us here. And first of all, Mike, what were you thinking when you got the news that you're going into the LCC Hall of Fame?
Well, I'm very honored. That it was a surprise, but I'm very proud of the things I did there. But it was a great couple of years for me there too.
All right. Well, first of all, update our folks and let them know what you're up to these days and where you're living.
Well, I have became a teacher and was going to teach at White Pass High School for a couple of years, and like in the late 60s, that teachers kind of were itinerant and moved on. But here I am. What is this? 57 years later, that I still live in the same house and retired from teaching up there and went into private business for a little while, but still live in Packwood, still have my family's old beach property down on the Long Beach Peninsula, so around there. However, I do go to Arizona in the winter for a couple of months to enjoy the sun down here and play a little bit of golf.
That's great. We've had some great athletes over the year. A coach, of course, Scott Carnahan from White Pass there. I'm sure you remember back in the day.
Yeah, Scott was a student my first couple of years at White Pass, and he actually lives down here in Arizona, or has a house in Arizona now in the same complex that we were at.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Well, Mike, let's talk a little bit about your track and field career. Of course, just because there's no longer track and field at Lower Columbia doesn't mean we don't honor greatness of our past, for sure. And you were just an outstanding distance runner at Ari Long High School, and you made the decision to stay in town for your first couple of years in college. What went into that decision to stick around and run in your hometown?
Well, there weren't a lot of track scholarships available at the time. I think it was probably a financial thing that I thought I could still live with my parents and go to LCC and still kind of chase some of my dreams in track and field there. And as it turned out, it worked out pretty well.
For sure. Who was your coach at LCC?
Well, my coach was Claude Jones, but I wanted to toss in a few other names that they maybe weren't my coach, but they were always kind of down in the locker room and were kind of great facilitators, and Oscar Lemire was one of them, and Dick Abrams was another. But certainly, I thought one of the guys, I actually think he was sort of my coach from about my junior year in high school. An athlete named Rick Korpinen. Rick was very, very talented, very driven, and he was kind of my leader anyway. And he was my coach all the way through the University of Idaho. Really, that it was just sort of a peer that. It was kind of his ideas that we were chasing along to try to learn how to be better runners anyway.
Yeah, I know whenever I start to whine about all of the duties that an athletic director has at this level, well, I just have to think about Claude, where Claude coached darn near every team. He had to do all the laundry and all the scheduling and everything. That was back in the day when those guys did everything.
Yes, well, he was still basketball coach at that time too, so that was certainly he had a lot of responsibilities, and I think he probably taught a full schedule also.
Oh yeah, for sure. Taught PE as well. Well, when you came to LCC, I mean, it was incredible. I mean, there were times where you won the mile and the 2 mile in a single meet, and you did that multiple times. And I don't think anybody would even consider that anymore in today's world. I know during your sophomore year, there was a single meet where you won the 800, the mile, and the 2 mile, and that's incredible. I mean, how were you able to pull that off?
That brings up kind of a funny story, because in high school, we were only allowed to run one, they called them distance races, actually of a quarter mile or more. So you couldn't run the quarter mile and the mile relay in high school at all. But they loosened this up in that particular meet where one of my friends had reminded me of this, that it was okay to do multiple events, but that was sort of a no-no to do all 3 of the distance races. And I believe Claude got fined $100 because of that. It was just sort of a gentleman's agreement that you wouldn't do that. And at our state meet, we had qualified for state by time, and I had qualified in all 3 of the events. So I had already run the mile and the half mile, and I was quite spent. It wasn't like you could just kind of cruise through them. And I had to go up to the starter to scratch myself out of the 2 mile, and I took off all my sweat gear to go up there, and Claude was in the stands, and he kind of ran down and started yelling at me, "They're going to fine me $1,000 this time." I really had no intention of doing it, but I was kind of yanking his chain there at the time.
That's funny. Boy, $100 fine back then was probably pretty immense, for sure. That's awesome. So during those 3 events in that single meet, I mean, how much time did you have for recover? Are we talking about hit the finish line and then get over to the start line?
Well, there was not any girls events in there. I think there was a pretty good time maybe between the mile was generally first, and then the 800 towards the end, but so maybe an hour for them, and that wasn't too bad. But only about 20, so it was a little iffy whether I was going to pull that one off or not.
Yeah, that is awesome, man. That's quite an achievement, to be honest with you. And during your sophomore year at LCC, you set the LCC record in the 880. I guess it was the 880 at the time, and it was not metric then. Yeah. And the mile, And then there was that epic race with Jim Prout of Highline. You remember that? I think you both set the Washington JC record in that race, and I guess he just he nipped you at the buzzer there. Now, maybe my research is wrong, but correct me if you will. But I know you set a Washington JC record in that race, and you finished second in the race.
That was a little disappointing because I had always been able to run that guy down, and I just didn't catch him that day.
Well, you don't catch him, but you still set the record. I mean, I think you did your point. Sometimes you got to tip your cap, right? And in a situation,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My wife's phone just went off. I missed that question.
Okay, I was just going to say that sometimes you got to tip your cap at your opponent, because if you set the the Washington JC record in a race and you lost, well, maybe that other guy was destined for him. But that was outstanding. I wanted to ask you the question that while you were a student athlete at Lower Columbia College, not only were you doing all of your long distance training and schoolwork and all that, you also had time to actually start a track club in town. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, that didn't really work out. I just wanted someplace where we would have a just an all-comers meet we used to run down to the University of Portland. I don't even remember on what days in the summer, and be able to compete on a very informal basis. And there were some occasions. I know we even up at Toledo, Washington. There were sometimes in the summer some little meets there on their dirt track that had a hill on the back stretch, but it was still fun to kind of go out and have some rather informal days to compete anyway.
Yeah, the track
but that
community,
was that didn't really work out as well. I'm not sure we ever really did put on any all-comers meet in that, so that I don't even know where it went from there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the track community, what a brotherhood, because of all the, the pain that you go through in your training and all of that. I know it's pretty close. Do you keep in touch with any of your old Red Devil teammates?
Oh yeah. Now Rick Korpinen passed away years ago, and actually he was going out on a training run, which was rather sad anyway. That doing that, but while I was at Lower Columbia, that there were some really good athletes. The late David Weedman was part of our track team, and a man named Ron Tinhara, who was really a fine basketball player, and Dale Griffiths, also a very fine basketball player and thrower, and I have to kind of giggle that after my dad had passed away, I'm going through some papers there, and I find a certificate of that we had won a relay race at the Willamette Relays, and the Willamette Relays were a pretty big deal. And this was for my friend Sam Laurel, who is a local, or was a local lawyer, who's retired now, of course. It's like I got that to him, but it was first place for Lower Columbia in the collegiate division. We were competing against the Portlands and Linfields and Pacifics and all that. That we had won the sprint medley in that. So that was a neat thing. And I do still see Sam a lot. In fact, I have invited Sam and Dale to come to our.
Yeah, it'll be great to see Sam. I haven't seen him in a while, That's great. The camaraderie is outstanding. Now, after LCC, you went to Moscow, went to
Yes,
University of Idaho.
Yes.
It ended up, you ran there, right?
I did run there, and that we did win a Big Sky championship in cross country, which was very good. I think the only championship teams I was ever on were all cross country teams that that at Ari Long we had won the district cross country championship. I think the very first one, and then also at Moscow, my junior year there.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, that's part of our mission here at Lower Columbia, is not only to have a great experience for the athletes, but to get them opportunities at the 4-year level. And you certainly got that by coming here at LCC. I remember when I was growing up, a big thing was the Sportsman of the Year banquet that they used to put on. I think Bud May might have had something to do with that, and some of the Hugh Davies, the old sports writers in the Daily News. Back then track and field was a high respect sport, and I don't know if they get their due as much these days, but you won the Sportsman of the Year that one year, and that was always a huge one. And so that's why you're a local legend around here.
Well, I think Claude probably did a lot of politicking for me on that one.
Well, who also did a lot of politicking for you, Mike, was a member of our Hall of Fame committee, and that's Mike Polis. Mike came after you a little bit from Ari Long. I'm sure you know Mike. And and every year we'd get together, and he goes, Mike Anderson, we got to get Mike in. And after I did a little research, and Mike Polis was right. You are deserving the Hall of Fame.
Very kind. He was a very fine athlete. He was at Ari Long at the same time, a couple years younger than me. So we've stayed a little close.
Yeah. Well, you'll see him. His son is our basketball coach here at Lower Columbia.
Yes.
You'll get a chance to see Mike's son coaching a little bit during the ceremony coming up. So, Mike, it's great to visit with you. I'm glad you were able to take some time with us, and we look forward to seeing you coming up on Wednesday, February 18th. And so I guess we'll make it official at this point. On behalf of Lower Columbia College and the athletic department, it is my pleasure to bestow to you induction into the Lower Columbia College Athletics Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
I am truly honored, and I'm very thankful for my days there. And I both of my kids went to Lower Columbia too, so I have a great allegiance to it. Thank you much.
Welcome back to our Red Devil Hall of Fame special, as we meet all of our Hall of Famers for the class of 2026. And with us now is Alice Fox Dietz. Alice, when you got the word you're going into the Hall of Fame, what's the first thing that came into that head of yours?
I had to let Doug know, my husband.
That's right.
And say I got an individual Hall of Fame. He was just on a team.
That's right. That's right. Well, hey, you gotta represent, you gotta know who's the boss around there for sure. And I guess we can start with that. When exactly did you meet Doug Dietz, and was this a romance that was born at Lower Columbia, or did you know him before you guys came here? What's the story there?
Well, actually, Doug and I knew each other real young, maybe even like around 5-ish. My family moved here from the Olympic Peninsula with another family friends, and they were neighbors with Doug. So we'd all be playing on Barlow Point Road, and that's where I originally met Doug. And we did have a short fling during summer camp in 8th grade, and got back together at Lower Columbia.
Well, that's awesome. We'll talk a little bit about you guys both going off to Evergreen State after your time at LCC. First of all, the decision to stay local. What came into that? You were obviously a highly recruited player out of Kelso. What made you want to stay in your hometown?
I think that I had the privilege of being coached from a very young age from the Anderson family. So Karen Anderson, John Anderson, Max Anderson, all probably familiar names, and a good, healthy competition. And then I had siblings that played soccer. So Kevin Blondin was also a known name and a known name in the soccer community, especially. So being able to have them as coaches, I knew that they valued me as a player, and it was familiar.
Yeah. Well, I know in your 2 years, you guys really started to build a winning deal there. And your freshman year was incredible. You scored 15 goals that year, and you were fourth in the entire conference scoring goals, and was an all Southwest region player there. Talk about that first year, because I know in the second year they started marking you. You weren't a surprise in that second year. You were still productive, but it really was probably a pretty fun time that freshman year, wasn't it?
It was very fun. I just loved the teammates that I had. They were all, most of them were people I'd played with in some way or another. And so we had a good bond. I mean, I think that first year we were down to 12 players. The Iron 12 is what Max and Kevin called us. And, to know that you're going to be playing the entire game and without a rest, I think we all just helped push each other and drive each other on the field.
Yeah. Who are some of the names from that first year that really
Kate Stecker, great player. Jody Swanson, just killer in the air. She was great at heading the ball. Lindsay Lassard. So these are all girls that I played with in some capacity or another, and it was cool to go on to that next level with them.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, your second year at LCC, you only scored 7 goals that year. How dare you?
What's wrong with me?
That was still pretty good, knowing that everybody was kind of on you the entire time. I'm sure you probably saw some defenses that were pretty much trying to make you do other things out there.
Yeah, I had a position change too. I went to outside midfield and forward. And so we had Beatrice Rivera in the middle there. And she and I had some good chemistry. She lived out with me. So we would play together quite a bit. And I thought, I think she had a great year that year too, her first year, and just being able to work with her. And we had some good chemistry. I didn't mind assisting either.
Yeah, for sure. Beatrice Rivera, there was an interesting player at Lower Columbia, to say the least. Very talented, for sure. Well, okay, you had 2 good years, and you wanted to keep playing, and you knew you were going to get some opportunities. What led to you becoming a Gooey Duck?
Well, I actually walked on for the Gooey Ducks because I took a year off, and Doug and I were married and had Deacon, who's now 21. And so I just was missing it, watching people practice. We lived right by the soccer field, and I had some serious FOMO, and started playing pickup games, and then tried out for the team. Yeah.
Greatest walk-on ever, because you went on at the time. I'm not sure where you're at, but I know at one time you were the 4th all-time leading scorer for Evergreen State, 17 goals. 3rd all-time in assists with 13, and you were always clutch. You had 4 match-winning goals at Evergreen State, so that turned out to be a good move to get back in there and share it with your family too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Deacon was always on the sidelines with Doug, and we'd take turns babysitting. Not babysitting, he's our child, watching him while one of us were playing our sports. So Doug was there playing basketball and me soccer.
Yeah, it was a pretty neat story, to be honest with you, because I remember going up there, and I think of Mark Morris. My son was playing in one of the districts up there, and of course, Mark Morris, Doug's going to be around there checking that out, right? And I remember seeing you guys up there with little Deke. It's kind of cool to make athletics in college kind of a family deal, and that's why Deacon's a college athlete himself. And you got Doc, who's coming up. Look out, he could be as well. Just talk about the family dynamic around collegiate athletics.
think that, Doug and I both were probably athletes before we were students, and then found ourselves as students, having gotten that experience and the ability, privilege to play in college at the college level. For me, I think being around teammates that took school really important it kind of changed how I viewed my education. And that's been something that we've told Deacon, you could have both of our boys, but you could have a great opportunity. You can meet lifelong connections, people from all around the world even. And still, I still have friendships with those folks, and so does Doug. And it's the funnest time of your life.
Oh, for sure. And just talk a little bit about, you're obviously still involved in the college. Just talk a little bit about, how you feel about the importance of athletics in a college community.
I think that it's so vital to community, and we lived across the street from LCC for quite a while, so seeing the student athletes walking back and forth on Olympia Way there, and going from, they're there early in the morning going to practices. It's discipline, it's friendships, and it really is an opportunity, I think, of a lifetime to have the privilege of playing college athletics and just getting that exposure.
For sure.
And experience. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, you had a great run at LCC, a great experience in college. Great to hear that. And of course, it's all about family as well. So, Alice, it's my extreme pleasure to bestow along you as the latest member to be inducted into the Lower Columbia College Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Kirk, and all of LCC. Proud to be a Red Devil.
Well, we continue our 2026 Hall of Fame special, and we're going to talk about a special team, the 1991 Lower Columbia College volleyball team. This ball club won the first championship in the history of Lower Columbia College, and it was special. Led by the head coach, Jocelyn Price, who's with us, and by really the person that made it go, Marcy Gilchrist is with us here. And first of all, Jaws, congratulations. Marcy, congratulations. I know this team's already in the NWAC Hall of Fame, but it certainly has to be in the Lower Columbia Hall of Fame, and your time is now. First, Jaws, if you could talk about this team, what made this team so special?
Wow. The kids, for sure. I mean, that's the bottom line. And the chemistry that went with this team, and the just the passion and the love for the game. I mean, that was the biggest thing. Maybe probably not the most talented team overall, but because they love playing the game and were such competitors that, it didn't matter. You could say, well, I don't think we're going to win this match. And next thing you know, they're like, oh, yeah, we are. And they just dug a little bit deeper and went from there. To win a championship with 2 5'5" outside hitters is like amazing, because that just doesn't happen anymore, for sure. And even then it was hard, but they were just smart. Yeah.
Well, to have a setter like Marcy is pretty impressive. And Marcia, I know you came back to your hometown, and when you got to Lower Columbia, you're going, oh my God, we have Peggy Adams and we have all these players. And did you know right away that you guys had a chance to be special?
I have to be honest, I didn't, because I didn't know what we were going to face, what our opponents looked like. But I knew that there was just this connection that just was innate. Like, we didn't have any issues with personalities. We didn't have any drama. It was like everybody wanted to work. Everybody wanted to work hard. Everybody kept each other accountable, but in a way that lifted them. So it was just like, as we started to win, it was like, dang, we're good. Like, we're gonna smoke this region. Like, we just got that confidence, and then it was like, get out of our way. Like, we're not having it.
Yeah. 53 wins that year. And 4 losses, and you probably remember the losses more than wins. I know you know that final win that won the championship, but were there any losses that stick out during that season? I'll put that to either of you.
You know, I don't recall the losses, to be honest, but it's been a while ago. But I do remember in the championship game on the sideline, kneeling on my knee, watching what was going on out there, going, "We're going to win this." It was like a deja vu type thing. I don't even know how to explain it, because it was just like, wow, we're going to win this, you know? And so I remember that probably more than anything else.
Mars, how about you?
I try to reminisce, and I feel like we lost to Tacoma.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure that's who we lost to.
Right.
And it's funny because as a team, we weren't trying to go undefeated. Like, we weren't thinking in that mindset. We just wanted to win every match that was in front of us. And I don't think that losses dissuaded us in any way. Like, it was just more motivation to be like, okay, next one. So there wasn't any like festering about how we did. I know that Jaws as a coach is very tactical. And so she took what happened in those matches and we worked on things to strengthen them. I think blocking, because we were short, we worked on adjusting our block and kind of manipulating our defense a little bit, but just tweaks based on what we weren't converting with at that time.
Right. I got it. Well, some great players. I mentioned Peggy Adams. Of course, she went on to, be a star at the time, Portland State, which was a national power at the time, and just a great player. And I guess when you have someone that you can feed like that, that makes it pretty fun, doesn't it?
Well, I think feeding somebody that's humble and is someone who is relying on you the way that I'm relying on them. I work with Peggy at Clark. So,
right.
And by the way, people here don't call her Peggy. So when I first started here, she corrected me. Everybody here calls her Peg. So
okay,
she got a little bit of razzing by being called Peggy. But yeah,
good to know.
Yeah. So she, just unruffled. She would show excitement, but it was still composed. She wouldn't ever show frustration. Like, she was just so even keeled. It made her easier to feed her because I knew she was going to come through. Like, I just knew it. And I think other teams knew that too, and they couldn't stop her.
Right.
Yeah. And even Peggy, with her height and her ability to put the ball down, she played a finesse game as well. And I think that really improved the game, and it allowed Marcy, as our setter, to be able to give her any ball. And, whether she attacked it with a big, strong kill or tipped it over to the right front and got a kill about 10 times in a row, it didn't matter. And like Marcy said, I think her humbleness was really a good aspect for her and her ability to be so successful.
Right. Well, I'm running down some of the players here. Tony Pasqua, Amy Ness, Stacy Domit, Monica Phillips, Beth DeVries, Alita Engblom, Jennifer Godino, Stephanie Patterson. I mean, you guys were an Iron 10, and everybody had a role, didn't they?
And they did. And I will, give a thumbs up to Alita and Monica. Mm-hmm. Those two especially. Their role basically was they were bench players. They came in when we needed some help, but they knew what their role was, and they were so positive, and they knew that their skills were not quite up to where the other ones were. And they were okay with that. But they also improved a ton because they had such great role models. But I can remember talking to Monica, who is currently a head coach now up at Napa Vine High School. And I remember saying, okay, you're going in for so-and-so. And she looked at me and went, me? You want me to go in? And I go, absolutely, I want you to go in. I mean, because they just, picked up the game and played at such a high level. And they had some great examples in front of them. And the fact that they didn't play as much as the others, but they were such team players. And, those are hard to find. And the fact that they were willing to do that. And a heads up to Stephanie and Tony and Amy. Amy on the NWAC game was was suffering with a bladder infection. So we had taken her to urgent care the night before championship games. Tony Pasqua was laying on the bathroom floor, puking her guts out the night before. She slept in a chair most of the day, and we're like going, okay, we're going to see what we can do. And it just kind of was a testament to the type of players that we had.
Marcy, when you hear those names, I know the memories flood, don't they?
They do. They do. And I want to touch on what Jaws said too. Like Monica and Alita, like they would, the looks that they would give, the comments they would make in timeouts, like 110 support, never a selfish moment. And I think that in team chemistry is such a rarity today. Like everybody wants to play. They don't realize that sometimes you've got to go with the flow that's working. And it was just so incredible to have teammates lift you up. You were competing with them, but in a healthy way that made you want to get better. And I think that's why we had strong outsides with Stephanie, Tony, and Amy. Like they were competing against each other. And then Stacy was doing outside and middle. So that rotation with her and Jen and Peggy, there was always like a push to keep going. And then Beth and I on the right side setting and playing defense, like we lifted each other up and made each other better. And it was just such a healthy group of like athletes that wanted to work, wanted to win. And it's interesting because I hear the word grit coming back. Like we were the OG grit. Like I just think, and Jaws and Bill conditioned us well. They gave us game-like and then foundational. So it just made us stronger. Jennifer Godino's serve, like it was incredible. And at that time, the topspin serve wasn't as like dominant, but hers was only not just a topspin, but it curved as well. So it was really hard in scrimmages to pass it. So can't imagine what other teams had to go through. But yeah, it was just a joy to be around these people on the court. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, coaches came out of this. Obviously you talked about the Napavine coach and others. Jennifer's been a coach. It's I guess Jocelyn, did you know that you had a bunch of coaches on your team? Could you tell that there were going to be people working in youth programs, Cowlitz, others?
I'm not surprised. I didn't know, but I'm not surprised for the simple fact that there were times back in the earlier days, coaches were really highly involved in running the drills. And so we'd be out there, Bill and I, hitting balls until we couldn't lift our arms above our heads anymore. And we'd take a break and they just keep going without us. Bill went in the locker room, get a drink, and I went and cooled off, and we come back out and they're still out there playing, so it doesn't surprise me. And it's very, very rewarding to be able to walk into just about any gym locally and even beyond and see people that we've coached that are out there now giving back. And this group of people, I know the majority of them have at some point gone and coached, whether high school, club, college, whatever it might be. And it's nice to see them be able to give back, and it's very rewarding for me.
And you mentioned Bill. How can we not talk about that guy?
Yeah.
I mean, he was, the lone male around all the madness, and what a guy, huh? Marcy, talk about Bill a little bit.
So I had a history with Bill because he and my dad coached fast pitch softball. So his daughter and my older sister were teammates. So we traveled and did things softball wise when I was a kid. He was also a patient with my dad, and my dad was a dentist. And that's kind of how we made the connection. I came back home and I'm like, I'm done with volleyball. Like, I can't. I just don't think I can. And then Bill had asked my dad, well, do you think she'd come play? And my dad's like, well, talk to her. So he and Jaws connected with me. And I don't know, I'm so lucky that connection happened. I'm so lucky that they asked me to join, because without that influence, I wouldn't have played. So, and Bill and Jaws are like the perfect balance. Like when Jaws is on us, Bill is like, hey guys, it's all good. And then when Bill's on us, Jaws was doing the, hey guys, it's all good. So it was like just the perfect balance. They could read us. They just had an innate ability to read what we needed. And they just complemented each other so well.
Yeah. Good, bad cop.
Yeah, I liked it best. I liked it best when I finally got to be a good cop and Bill got to be a backup. I said, all right, I'm kind of liking this.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, this is outstanding. I know we had a chance a few years ago at the NWAC banquet to reminisce with this team. And, it's always good to get back together. And I know we're going to be missing a couple. I know Jennifer's going to miss because she's with her daughter who's going to be at a tournament and stuff. But for the most part, I think we're going to have quite a few folks here. And I just think it's awesome. And any last reminiscence or anything about the 91 Red Devils, Coach?
I'd just like to say thank you to LCC for giving us this honor. It truly is an honor, and it's one that I know that Bill and I definitely will appreciate. I know that Bill is heartbroken that he can't be here this week, but he actually is spending some time with his wife down in Arizona, and so he really would like to be here, and he expresses his gratitude and thanks as well. But I'm telling you, I will never forget this group of girls. And I mean, I can tell you their names. I can tell you what they do for a living. I can tell you the names of their kids. I can't do that with every other team, but this is definitely a special group, and I so appreciate them.
You bet. And Mars, how about you? Your last take on
Same
91
thing.
Devs.
Like, I'm so proud to be part of the LC family. I've been at other community colleges. I'm at one now. The connection with the athletes, the coaches, the athletic department, like it's unmatchable. I can't describe it. I can't even try. Other people don't get it. It really is a family. And that team for me, like as we got older and we started coaching, seeing people in the gym together, having Jaws or Bill come and sit on our bench and being able to go, hey, so I think I'm struggling with this setter. Like, what should I tell her? Like getting that comfort and advice, even if we were competing against each other, we still were supporting each other. And again, it's just so rare and it's a once in a lifetime. And I know some people will be like, oh, it's community college. It's so much more than that. Like it is so much more than that. And community college is legit competitive athletics. And I don't think people know or understand that until they are actually on the field or on the court. But yeah, I'm super grateful for the opportunity and so proud of my team and my coaches. So I really appreciate this.
Well, hey, special bunch, the champions of 1991, forever in the lore at Lower Columbia College. And you guys are the latest inductees into the Lower Columbia College Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.